Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
A Time for True show is sponsored by the Office of Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, a periodontal, dental implant and laser specialist in New York City, for over 40 years. Dr. Fialkoff was honored by the International College of Dentists and Pierre Fauchard, and received the Presidential Lifetime Humanitarian Honor from the White House. Call us at 718-229-3838.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome back to A Time for True show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff. It's a pleasure to have you back with us again tonight in your favorite space, where you can find out those new innovations, discoveries, and those things that you can apply in your life, the technology that help you have a better life, a happier life, a more secure, prosperous life. And tonight we're going to go to a special event that we had with some Boy Scouts on Sunday, June 14th, at St. Anastasia Church in Douglaston, where with those scouts and the scout leaders, we went over the dangers of vaping and illicit drugs, and we discussed the importance of education and the possibility of the scouts making a badge, a merit badge, where each scout would educate his fellow scouts, his community, and the family to protect them from these drugs. And the scout leaders and I discussed this as a possibility. And you'll see their interviews as they gave their reasons and their fears of what's going on in our country. And rightfully so, with the dangers of fentanyl, carfentanil, and these synthetic drugs affecting our youth. So let's go right to those interviews and go to what was discussed about vaping and illicit drugs that Sunday. Here we go. So here we are. We're at St. Anastasia's Church in Douglaston, New York City. And we're having a conference at the church on illicit drugs. And I'm here with Stuart Lee.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. You're the one of the Scoutmasters?
I am the Assistant Scoutmaster for Troop 153, yes.
Okay. How many years have you done that
now? 2 or 3 years. But I've been involved with scouting since, I want to say probably the last 10 years.
Very nice. And, you know, we're here because one of the Eagle Scouts, which is Richard, decided to do this event and to educate his community. I found it amazing. He called me up. He said, Dr. Fialkoff, will you speak at this event that I'm having? What do you think about what this Eagle Scout Richard is doing?
Well, it's novel. We don't typically do projects like this, but I think it's fantastic to make the community aware, to educate people, and to tell people about the dangers of drugs.
Absolutely. You know, and we were over here just a few minutes ago, and we were talking, and you asked me a very interesting question. You go, have you seen all these cannabis shops popping up?
Yes.
And we were talking about, well, but what does the CDC and NIH say about it? And, you know, because they obviously, just so that our viewers know, the Center for Disease Control and National Institute of Health scientifically both have shown that based on science, that marijuana is very toxic, very dangerous. It is addictive. It is a gateway. And so then you wonder, so my question to you is, you were mentioning about these shops, and I wanted you to tell the viewers, what do you think about what's going on?
It blows my mind. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. When we were growing up, we understood that you had to be aware of these things, and that they were bad for you, that they could be detrimental to your health, that they were illegal. But now we see cannabis dispensaries going up all over the place. And although there's still a concerned community out there, if a store can open up, people start to think, well, I guess that's okay, that's allowed, that's legal. And I think that's a real shame. That's a bad message to send to our youths.
Absolutely. You know, let me just pull this booklet out. So this program, the Foundation for a Drug-Free World, has these little booklets. They're educational. They're based on science. Here's one on fentanyl. And, you know, I wanted for you to tell the viewers on what you had read about fentanyl.
So forgive me, I'm not an expert on this, but what I had heard was if you take a penny and you take the size of Lincoln's eyeball on that penny, that's enough fentanyl to actually kill a person. So I can't even believe that kind of thing is widely available.
Absolutely. And, you know, that is a fact. In fact, for all of you to know watching this, is not only now is there fentanyl, which is 100 times more potent than morphine, 100 more potent than morphine, more potent, imagine. There's something called carfentanil. And carfentanil is 100 times more potent than fentanyl. And that's also out there and very, very dangerous. So what message would you like to send out to our viewers that are going to be watching this?
I'd like to see the youths educated. I'd like to see a strong message sent that these things are deadly, and we really shouldn't be allowing things like these cannabis dispensaries or the widespread distribution of illicit drugs. And I wish that there was a different message going on instead of seeing these places go up.
You know, absolutely. I thank you for taking the time. I thank you, the Scouts, the Eagle Scouts, for putting this on for the community. It's a pleasure to be with people who are protecting the community.
Thank you very much.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Likewise.
And for those of you watching, if you want to get this material, very simple, drugfreeworld.org. It's free to you in 18 languages for use, for education. Let's educate. This morning, because of one of the Eagle Scouts' responsibility and viewpoints, Richie decided to have this great event to educate our community on illicit drugs and what's happening in our country and how the youth are being affected. And so we're here with some Boy Scouts, Eagle Scouts, Girl Scouts, and we're here with one of the leaders of the Girl Scouts, Marianne Helen Brecht. Is that right?
Correct.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How long have you been a leader of the Girl Scouts?
Over 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What got you involved?
My daughter joined Girl Scouts, and I became a leader because our Girl Scout troop was going to disband, and that was it. So it's been a very rewarding adventure over 40 years. I met a lot of girls, dealt with a lot of girls, and one of the things that I like about what Richie is doing with the Eagle Scout Award is the focus on drugs and the youth of today. Because I think it starts with vaping, and then they just get into everything else. And I don't agree with all of these cannabis shops, because I think that's just allowing the kids, or they're making it more available to the children. Whether it starts with pot and then it goes into more drugs. And I've seen girls, I've seen kids, not in my Girl Scout troops, but you know, outside of us, I have seen girls go down that path. I've seen boys go down that path, and it's horrible. We have to do something about it in this wonderful country that we live in. It shouldn't be.
Absolutely. You know, I don't know if a lot of the viewers realize this, but 80,000 Americans died last year of drugs, and in the entire Vietnam War, which was 10 years, there was 56,000 that died. If we divide 56,000 by 10, that would mean 5,600 per year in comparison to losing 80,000 last year. And yet, you don't see the uproar there was over the Vietnam War, about the deaths or whatever. And I agree with you. It almost seems like the country's asleep. What do you think about that? What do you think is the role of parents with what's going on?
I think parents have to be more involved in their children's lives, is what I think. A lot of parents go back to school, go back to work when the children go into middle school, high school. I think that's the wrong time to go back, because that's when they need you the most. When they're young and they're in elementary school, they're controlled. You know, because they always have somebody excuse me, always have somebody watching them.
Right.
When they get to junior high school and high school, and they come home to an empty house, and it gives them carte blanche to do anything they want. I personally took a job in the school, so I would be home at I was home at 1 o'clock actually, before my children got home, so that I could be there for them when they walked in the door, when they had a bad day, whatever. I think a lot also has to do with the internet, because these kids are just free to go wherever they want on the internet, and they're being groomed by these people with drugs. It's a horrible thing. And now with AI, I don't even know where this is going to go.
Absolutely. You have this booklet here. This is from the Foundation for Drug-Free World. There's booklets on every drug, basically in 18 different languages, free of charge at drugfreeworld.org. What do you think of a booklet like this, and one on cocaine, one on fentanyl, one on marijuana, and one on alcohol?
I think it's a great idea, because I don't think parents realize how that progression happens. I don't think they realize how their kids are getting hooked. And it could be outside the schools, because we know in many of the schools, drugs are rampant right now. Outside, these drug dealers are going where the kids are most vulnerable and trusting. Once they get hooked on one thing, then it leads to the next and the next and the next, which we've seen. And then you see girls and boys go down the rabbit hole. And they don't realize it until it's too late. So I think parents have to be educated and more aware, and I think this is a great idea to educate them.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking your time.
My pleasure.
And for organizing this event. And for those of you out there watching, here you go again. Foundation for Drug-Free World. You can get them at drugfreeworld.org. That's drugfreeworld.org. They're free to you, and you can educate your community, start your own group, whatever, like Marianne is doing here in Douglaston, New York. He's organized this tremendous activity to educate about illicit drugs. It's important to realize that last year, about 80,000 Americans died from drugs. To give you a perspective, the Vietnam War of 10 years was 56,000. So if you divide 56 by 10, that's 5,600 a year. You remember all the protests and whatever over the Vietnam War, yet we lost 80,000, which is about 16 times more. And you don't hear a word. In fact, we're legalizing shops to sell more drugs. So here we are with Richie. Very interesting event he's putting together. A lot of courage, a lot of foresight. And I wanted to ask you, how did you think of this? Why did you think of this?
So do I hold it, or do you hold it?
So here, I'm going to give him the question again, because we'll cut that out. Oh, yeah. And don't worry about it. This is recorded, so I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to ask you again. Okay. So what I wanted to ask you is, how did you decide to put this together? Why did you think it was important to have this drug education event here?
So throughout my life, I didn't grow up with, me and my mom, we always had a good, stable relationship. She raised me throughout my whole life, but me and my father didn't have such a stable relationship, and most of that was just through drug abuse. And, a lot of experiences, of course there's all, the chemical stuff that's involved and how it messes up the body, but there's also an actual human aspect to it, where it's experiences or points of life are ruined because of these harsh types of drugs. So I just wanted to do this to kind of part give research to myself and to other people that I want to present to, and this is, my drug awareness workshop. So the reason I wanted to do this was to really wake people up about what's going on with drugs in the modern day, like let's say a couple years ago compared to now, there's billions of more people in the world. There's always going to be another person in the world that is exposed to drugs, and it's up to them if they have the knowledge or if they know what's right and what's wrong to involve themselves or not. And I feel like doing something like this is very important because I just need to let people know that this is very dangerous and it can change lives. It can do anything. And that was my point behind this,
Well, I think it's an excellent point and a great idea. And, you decided to have this program, the Foundation for a Drug-Free World, that's available to you at drugfreeworld.org for free in 18 languages on all different kinds of drugs. This one on marijuana. And, why did you think this program would be a good idea?
I mainly thought that this program would be a good idea because when I looked into you guys, right, I saw stuff like the website, and I even heard about you guys a little bit from some other peers that I saw, and just the amount that you guys cover, like even the other day when I went on the website to, take your guys' quiz on like drug awareness, like you guys cover a lot of topics, and not only do you express like the actual research behind drugs, but you also develop importance based on real life experience and like how this could affect somebody's life. I was just very grateful that I was able to find you guys because you guys are looking at drugs for all of its flaws, and you're making sure that you could do anything to stop it.
Absolutely, and I laud you. And for those of you watching, I think we should follow his lead, and in your community, run some sort of education events. Whatever, a church, a school, a dance class, sporting event. The booklets are free to you. You don't have to ask permission. You get them at drugfreeworld.org, and educate. That's how we're going to preserve the country. That's what the United Nations actually concluded. Education and prevention. Treatment is already after the fact. Let's prevent it. Let's save some kid's life before it's too late on fentanyl. Fantastic Eagle Scout drug education event in Douglaston, New York, St. Anastasia's Church. And we actually want to give an award to Richard Vidaire-Grewitch for what he's done here today. And Oscar Zamora, who is one of our Drug-Free World America's representatives, is going to give you the award.
Thank you, man.
And here, Oscar's going to read this to you.
Sure. Drugs-Free World, the America's Chapter Community Service Award, Richard Vidaire-Grewitch. With highest distinction, this award is bestowed as acknowledgement to Richard's commitment to safeguarding youth and families from drugs and alcohol. Your unwavering contribution in educating against the devastating consequences of these dangers sets a community standard of excellence and saving lives and creating a drugs-free society. Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, President of drugfreeworld.org, the American chapter, June 14, 2026.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
So we're going to present shirts and hats to all these scouts who are actually helping to bring sanity and security to the community. Why don't you stand over here? Pass it down. Why don't each one of you put it on? Okay, here you go. There you go. Yeah, put it on.
Here, why don't you stand here? Come on out of the back. Yeah, that's it. Oh, good, you're self-aligned. Oh, what? You look like you're the entrepreneur.
Oh, really? Oh.
There you go. Okay, here, you can stand next to me. You can help me out with it.
All right.
And you're a manufacturer, right? Okay, Carl. Congratulations. Right over here.
The wife's getting ready for the
Congratulations. Here you go. Congratulations. Congratulations.
So here we are back with the group. We have the Girl Scout Master, right?
Girl Scout leader.
Girl Scout leader, the Scout Master, right? And here we have all of the Scouts. And we want actually, aside from complimenting them, is to give a thank you to the clergy and the executives of St. Anastasia's Church for providing this great venue, for caring about the community, because really it's a team effort. It's a religious activity, it's a community activity, it's a family activity, and myself representing doctors, it's a healthcare activity. And so together we can educate against drugs. It's called drugfreeworld.org. It's free to you in 18 languages. You can get it. And let's give a nice round of applause for all of this team here.
Hey everybody, this is Richie, and welcome to my Eagle project. As you guys know today, for most of you that RSVP'd, I'm doing a drug awareness workshop, and you know, for most Eagle projects this is very different, and you know, most of them are usually outside, or I mean they're mainly just outside. Yeah, that's all I gotta say with that. But this one I kind of wanted to do different. I did take a long time to set up this project. I could have set this up 3 years ago, but I was just sitting there really thinking if this was the right choice for me. And the main reason I did this project was because throughout my whole life I grew up with a guardian who was in and out of my life. This was because they were obviously using drugs, and they were a heavy drug abuser throughout the years. They would be on and off throughout their life, and obviously that affects a lot of the body, and that's very harmful. But even also the real human aspects of drug abuse, you know. People are losing years of their life to this. Maybe they are losing their life at that, you know. They could be losing experiences, family, and all that. And in this modern day, drugs are constantly changing, they're constantly getting more dangerous, and one of the most important things of this generation is to let people know how dangerous drugs can be and why they should be aware of who's using or what to avoid or just anything like that. And that's why I'm here today.
Well, Richie invited me about 3 months ago, and you know, to talk at this event, and I said sure.
I'm a 46-year periodontal and implant surgeon in Bayside. My name is Dr. Bernard Fialkoff. You saw before I was speaking Spanish because I was actually born in Cuba. So I'm a Cuban-American citizen, and I was very lucky that the United States existed because when communism came to Cuba and destroyed my country, I had the United States. And so for me, it's very special to protect this country from drugs. I see it as a tremendous threat, and I think Richie is very aware for his age, and it'd be nice if we made the whole country aware so that we could preserve this country, because something that's important to put on this video for you to know is a strategy to taking over countries is not a direct war. Because if you do direct war, you actually galvanize and unite all of the people. And when you unite the American people, who are comprised of all these different nationalities and faiths and religions, you create a tremendous force, because all Americans united are unbelievable. So they don't want to do that. And they do it in a roundabout way, and it was used by the Japanese before World War II. It was used many, many centuries ago. And what you do is you put drugs into a country. So if you're wondering why drugs have come into the United States of America, don't wonder any further. If you wonder why they're legalizing something that the National Institute of Health and the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, which are two national scientific organizations to protect you, right? Like if you go to the hospital, they have to use standard health care. Well, the CDC and NIH, all the research shows that drugs are harmful, including marijuana, cannabis. So then you say, well, how can that be? How can it be that they're scientifically, not philosophically, they're scientifically dangerous, yet they're legalized? I won't answer that for you. I'll let you take a look at it yourself. So let's talk about what's going on. And let's first talk about something, aside from the vaping, which I'll get into in a moment. We'll talk about marijuana, cannabis. There's a lot of internet information that says it's fine, it's organic, it's natural. Well, cocaine is natural and organic too. And there are many things that are natural and organic that kill you. Because something is natural and organic doesn't mean that it's good for you. Because just the fact that it's in nature, there are many toxic plants that if you eat, you get sick. If you're not too lucky, you die. So the fact that it's organic or natural is a mechanism of marketing that these people use.
So there you see what occurred at St. Anastasia's Church, and we want to really, first of all, thank St. Anastasia's Church for lending their space to a very important activity spiritually for the community, protecting our youth from drugs. We want to thank the Scouts of America, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, for the role that you play in protecting our country's youth, and also the idea of creating a merit badge for drug education, where the Scouts can help each other and help their fellow youth and their communities to be drug-free, to have the right choice in their lives, so they don't come dependent, so they don't become sick, so they have a future, so they don't possibly die from fentanyl and carfentanil. Something very important that we hope goes through with this merit badge for drug education. And we know that drug-free world is behind this totally. We thank you, and we hope you've enjoyed this segment of A Time for Truth show. Let's make a world that's safe, secure, and drug-free. Thank you again. Good night.
This show was sponsored by A Time for Truth Foundation Incorporated as a community service.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything was falling apart, yeah. You tried to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet